Hello and welcome to Baking on a Budget. Now in this video what we're going to be making is a very simple recipe. This is a beautiful coconut cake. Coconut cake with jam and coconut on the top of it. Absolutely fantastic, very simple to make. We have everything that we'll need for it over here. Let me run through everything with you, tell you what the quantities are and tell you how much all of this is going to cost. To begin with, we have 100 grams of softened butter, which is 76 pence. We have 90 grams of sugar at 11 pence. We have 2 eggs at 28 pence. We have 120 grams of plain flour at 7 pence. We've got 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder at about 5 pence. And we have 2 tablespoons of milk at 2 pence. We have 40 grams of honey at 12 pence. 40 grams of jam at 10 pence. And we have 20 grams of desiccated coconut at 20 pence. We'll also need a little water for this. But the total there so far, we have a total of £1.71. We're going to get 8 slices of this marvellous coconut cake out of this recipe, making each one 21 pence. As I said, very simple recipe to put together, so let's get on to it. Okay, so to begin with, we want the butter. That's 100 grams of softened butter into the jug. Now I'm going to do this in a jug. You can do it in a bowl, whatever suits you best. To that, 90 grams of sugar, and to that, the 2 eggs. And there is one other thing which I neglected to mention in the ingredients list there, but I'm just going to put a little bit of vanilla extract in there as well. That would make a difference to the price, but not by much, about 5 pence. So, everything in the bowl, we're just going to beat all of this together. And we just want to keep going with this until we have a nice, smooth, creamy mixture. And that should do it there. That's just had a couple of minutes, and that's looking perfect. Okay, so next thing we want to do is get the flour into the bowl. As I say, that is 120 grams of plain flour, and to that I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of this baking powder. That's it there. And we can just bring that together a little, and then to that I'm going to add the sugar, eggs and butter. This is really just a very simple sponge cake recipe. What makes it different is we are going to soak this in honey. Put holes in the cake and let the honey soak into the cake once we're done, or once it's been baked. And then on the top of that we're going to spread the jam mixed with the coconut. Very, very simple recipe, but delicious and very inexpensive. Now to that we just want a couple of tablespoons of milk. There's 1, and there's 2. And we just want to mix all of that together until we get a nice, good consistency. There's still little pieces of the butter in here, but that's absolutely fine. They're going to melt as it bakes. Okay, happy with that. I'm going to bake this in this shallow, I think this is about 7.5 inches, 19 centimeters, square tin. I'm going to line it all the way around with this grease-proof paper. And you may be able to hear in the background the oven is whirring away, getting itself up to temperature. So we just want to transfer the sponge mixture into the tin. Very good. And spread it out. As I say, it does look fairly lumpy this, but it is that butter. And that, as soon as that butter starts heating up, it will melt into the mixture and it will be beautiful. Right, we want to get that about as flat as we can. That's about it there. Okay, now this is going to go into an oven at 180 degrees, and it'll probably take about 15-20 minutes, because it's not very deep here in this tin, you see. I'll take a good look at it after 15 minutes, give it a skewer test, see how it's looking. It may take about 20, we'll see. Whilst the cake is in the oven, what we can do is get our jam into a small mixing bowl. And to that I'm going to add the majority of the coconut. I'm going to save a little bit because I'm going to pour that over the top once the jam layer is on. But what we're going to do with that is just mix this into itself and get the jam and the coconut combined. Looking good. May need a little bit more jam, I'm not sure. We'll see how far that goes. So set that aside for now and set my coconut aside. And then very simply we have the water and the honey. I'm going to combine the two Mix them together, and as I say, this is going to be a drizzle which will soak into the cake, and that cake will be absolutely beautiful. Okay, literally fresh out of the oven, and that did take about 20 minutes, but if we give it the skewer test, it comes out absolutely clean. So that's beautifully done. I'm going to let it cool for just a little while, and then we'll get on to drizzling this honey into here. Okay, now that's had a few minutes to cool down, and it's fine at this point. What I'm going to do is put many skewer holes in here throughout the whole cake. We want this honey to sink right into the cake, and the best way to do that is make a lot of skewer holes in it. We want to take the honey and water, or you just want to pour that over the top of the cake, and we want this to sink in. I've left this in the tin for this. It's much easier to do it in the tin, and we'll save having the honey mix all over the bench or table. That's about it there. Maybe another spoonful or two there. One more for luck. That should do it. Now again, we want to let that entirely soak into the cake for a few moments, and then we will come back and cover it with this. Alrighty, that has soaked in nicely. This is going to be a beautiful moist coconut cake, you know. Right, now we're going to take this jam and coconut mixture, soften a little bit as we put it on the cake, because the cake does still have a little bit of warmth in it from the oven. And we want to spread this over the whole of the cake. As I say, I may be a little bit short on this. If I am, that's okay. I'll make up some more. I remember I used to get these when I was a kid, you know. I believe they were called Madeleines. A local bakery used to sell them. I don't know that they had the honey thing going on with it. It was just a sponge cake with the jam and coconut on top. But they were always very nice, you know. Nice little treat. I'm going to need just a little bit more to cover this. I've made a little more up. It's just another teaspoon actually of jam that I've used here. And I'm sure that we will have enough at this point. Next thing I'm going to do is just take the coconut that we had left over and spread that on top of the jam. Now, of course, you could put coconut into the cake itself if you wanted it a little bit, you know, more of the taste of the coconut. Nothing wrong with putting a couple of teaspoons of the desiccated coconut straight into the cake itself. And I'm going to have a slice of this with a little cup of coffee. I'll just let it cool down a touch more. We're going to cut into it, see what that texture looks like, and we're going to have a taste. Okay, look at this. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful sponge cake. And with the coconut and the honey drizzle on that. Oh, yes, despite its absolute simplicity, that is delicious. It's a really spongy cake. With that beautiful honey drizzle. And with a little coffee after it, absolutely beautiful. Now, as I say, this must be one of the simplest recipes I've done in a long while. And one of the cheapest. We are getting 8 slices of this for £1.71, meaning this piece of cake here, 21 pence. And it is delicious. That would go really well as part of an inexpensive lunch, part of an afternoon tea. So there it is, a coconut cake. Now, as I said, if you wanted that to be more coconut, you could obviously add a little coconut into the sponge mix itself. But for me, I do like it very simple. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more similar recipes in the future, always very inexpensive, always delicious, always very simple to make, do consider subscribing to the channel. And in the meantime, I thank you very much for watching.